Sarah sat in the blue plastic chair and looked at Jennifer. The woman looked scared, like she might run away at any moment. Sarah knew she had to be careful. She had to be gentle. People who were hurting sometimes pushed others away when they needed help the most. "Can you tell me why you came to see Dr. Patterson?" Sarah asked. She kept her voice soft and calm. "Maybe I can help you." Jennifer looked down at her son. Her hand stroked his hair slowly. Daniel made a small sound in his sleep and moved his head a little. But he did not wake up. "Daniel has been having seizures," Jennifer said. Her voice shook when she spoke. "More and more of them. They used to happen maybe once a month, but now they happen almost every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day." Sarah nodded. She understood how serious that was. Seizures could be very dangerous, especially for a child like Daniel. "We saw Dr. Patterson 2 months ago," Jennifer continued. "He gave Daniel some medicine. It helped for a while, but now the seizures are coming back. They're getting worse. Last week, Daniel had one that lasted almost 10 minutes. I was so scared. I thought I was going to lose him." Her voice broke on the last word. Tears started running down her face. She tried to wipe them away quickly, like she was embarrassed to cry in front of a stranger. "It's okay," Sarah said gently. "You don't have to hold it in. I understand. This must be so hard for you." Jennifer shook her head. "I can't fall apart," she whispered. "If I fall apart, who will take care of Daniel? He needs me to be strong." Sarah felt her heart break a little. She had seen so many parents like Jennifer. Parents who carried the whole world on their shoulders. Parents who never let themselves rest or cry or ask for help because they thought they had to do everything alone. "How long have you been doing this by yourself?" Sarah asked. Jennifer looked surprised by the question. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, 3 years. Daniel's father left when Daniel was 4 years old. He said he could not handle it. He said having a disabled child was too hard. He said he never signed up for this. The words came out flat and empty, like Jennifer had said them so many times that they did not hurt anymore. But Sarah could see the pain behind her eyes. That kind of pain never really went away. "So it's just been you and Daniel for 3 years?" Sarah asked. "Yes," Jennifer said. "Just us. My parents died in a car accident when I was 20. I don't have any brothers or sisters. My ex-husband's family won't talk to me. They blame me for Daniel's problems. They think I did something wrong when I was pregnant. They think it's my fault." Sarah felt anger rise up again. How could people be so cruel? How could they blame a mother for something she had no control over? "That's not true," Sarah said firmly. "Cerebral palsy is not anyone's fault. You did nothing wrong." Jennifer gave a sad smile. "I know that in my head," she said. "But sometimes my heart still wonders. Sometimes I think maybe if I had eaten better or rested more or gone to the doctor more often, maybe Daniel would be different." "Don't do that to yourself," Sarah said. She reached out and touched Jennifer's hand. "You're a good mother. I can see that. Daniel is lucky to have you." Jennifer looked at Sarah like no one had said something kind to her in a very long time. Fresh tears filled her eyes. They sat in silence for a minute. The only sound was the quiet hum of the lights above them and Daniel's soft breathing. "What happened today?" Sarah finally asked. "Why were you waiting for so long?" Jennifer took a deep breath. "We got here at 4 o'clock. I had to leave work early to bring him. I work 2 jobs, so leaving early means I lose money. But Daniel needed to see the doctor. The receptionist told us to sign in and wait. She said Dr. Patterson was running late because of an emergency. She said he would see us as soon as he could." "And then what happened?" "We waited," Jennifer said. "And waited. Other people came and went. Some of them were seen by other doctors. But we kept waiting for Dr. Patterson. Every time I asked the receptionist, she said just a little longer. Just a little longer. Finally, around 7 o'clock, she said the doctor had an emergency surgery, but he would try to see us after." Sarah shook her head. This was wrong. Someone should have told Jennifer the truth. Someone should have offered to have another doctor see Daniel. "And you stayed?" Sarah asked. "What choice did I have?" Jennifer said. Her voice sounded bitter now. "Daniel needed to see the doctor. We were already here. I thought if we just waited long enough, someone would help us." "Why didn't you leave and come back another day?" Jennifer looked away. Her face turned red. She seemed embarrassed. "I couldn't," she whispered. "Why not?" Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "My car broke down this morning. It won't start. I had to take a taxi to get here. It cost me $20. That was the last money I had until I get paid on Friday. I can't afford another taxi ride home. I was hoping that after we saw the doctor I could figure something out. Maybe call someone. Maybe ask for help. Sarah felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. This woman and her sick child were stuck here. They had no way to get home. They had no money. They had no one to call. Do you have any family you can call? Sarah asked. Any friends? Jennifer shook her head. No, all my friends are from work. I can't call them this late at night, and I barely know them anyway. I don't have time to make friends. I work during the day at a grocery store. Then I work at night cleaning offices. In between, I take care of Daniel. There's no time for anything else. Well, what about neighbors? We live in an apartment building, Jennifer said. I know the lady next door a little bit, but her husband doesn't like Daniel. He complains about the noise when Daniel has a seizure. I can't ask her for help. Sarah felt tears in her own eyes now. How did this happen? How did someone end up so alone? How did the world let this happen to a mother and her child? Jennifer, Sarah said slowly, have you eaten today? Jennifer looked confused by the question. What? Have you eaten anything today? Sarah asked again. Jennifer thought about it. I had coffee this morning, and I think I ate some crackers at lunch. Why? And Daniel? He had breakfast before school, and the school gave him lunch. But he hasn't eaten since then. Sarah stood up. Wait here, she said. I'll be right back. She walked quickly to the vending machines near the cafeteria. She pulled out her wallet and bought 2 bottles of water, 2 sandwiches, a bag of chips, and a candy bar. She carried everything back to the waiting room. Jennifer looked at the food in Sarah's hands. What is this? She asked. Dinner, Sarah said. She handed Jennifer one of the sandwiches and a bottle of water. You need to eat. You can't take care of Daniel if you don't take care of yourself. Jennifer stared at the sandwich. I can't pay you back, she said quietly. I don't want you to pay me back, Sarah said. Just eat. Jennifer unwrapped the sandwich with shaking hands. She took a small bite, then another. Then she started eating faster, like her body suddenly remembered how hungry it was. She finished the whole sandwich in less than 2 minutes. Sarah watched her and felt a decision forming in her mind. She knew what she had to do. She knew it might get her in trouble. She knew it was breaking the rules. But she did not care. She pulled out her cell phone and dialed a number. A tired voice answered. Dr. Chen speaking. Dr. Chen, this is Sarah from the pediatric floor, she said. I'm sorry to call so late, but I have an emergency situation here at the hospital. I have a young boy with cerebral palsy who has been having increased seizures. He was supposed to see Dr. Patterson today, but there was a mix-up. The family has been waiting for 8 hours. I need someone to examine this child tonight. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Then Dr. Chen said, 8 hours? How did that happen? I don't know, Sarah said. But it did. And now I'm asking you to help, please. Another silence. Then give me 30 minutes. I'll be there. Sarah hung up and looked at Jennifer. A doctor is coming, she said. He's going to examine Daniel. Jennifer's mouth opened in surprise. Really? Someone is really coming? Yes, Sarah said. Really? And then Jennifer did something that surprised Sarah. She started crying. Not just a few tears. She cried like her heart was breaking. She cried like she had been holding everything inside for so long and she finally could let it out. Sarah moved her chair closer and put her arm around Jennifer's shoulders. She let her cry. Sometimes crying was the only thing that helped. Sarah sat with Jennifer while they waited for Dr. Chen. She kept her arm around the tired mother's shoulders. Jennifer had stopped crying now, but she still looked broken. Like someone who had been carrying too much weight for too long. Thank you, Jennifer whispered. I don't know why you're helping us. But thank you. Sarah squeezed her shoulder gently. You don't have to thank me, she said. This is what I should be doing. This is why I became a nurse. But even as she said it, Sarah knew it was more than that. Yes, she was a nurse. Yes, helping people was her job. But there was something about Jennifer and Daniel that touched her heart in a special way. Maybe it was the look of complete hopelessness in Jennifer's eyes. Maybe it was the way Daniel slept so peacefully, not knowing how hard his mother was fighting for him. Or maybe it was just that Sarah saw them at the right moment, when she could actually do something to help. Sarah remembered when she first started working as a nurse 15 years ago. She had been so full of energy and hope. She wanted to save everyone. She wanted to fix every problem. But over the years, the job had worn her down. There were too many patients and not enough time. Too many rules and too much paperwork. Too many people who needed help and not enough resources to help them all. She had started to feel like she was just going through the motions. Come to work, do her job, go home, sleep, repeat. She still cared about her patients. But somewhere along the way, she had stopped really seeing them as people. They had become just another patient, just another problem to solve. But sitting here with Jennifer and Daniel, Sarah felt something wake up inside her. Something she thought she had lost. She felt like herself again, like the young nurse who believed she could make a difference. Tell me more about Daniel, Sarah said. What does he like to do? What makes him happy? Jennifer looked surprised by the question. Most people only asked about Daniel's problems, about his seizures and his disabilities and his medical needs. No one asked what made him happy. A small smile crossed Jennifer's tired face. He loves music, she said. Any kind of music. When I play songs at home, he moves his head and makes sounds. He can't talk much, but he tries to sing along. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. What else? Sarah asked. He loves being outside, Jennifer said. Her smile grew bigger. On my days off, I take him to the park. I push his wheelchair around the paths and tell him about all the trees and flowers and birds. He gets so excited. His whole face lights up. Those are my favorite days. Sarah could picture it. Jennifer pushing the wheelchair through the park, talking to her son, both of them happy to be together in the sunshine. It was a beautiful image. He also loves books, Jennifer continued. I know he doesn't understand all the words, but I read to him every night before bed. He listens so carefully. Sometimes he reaches out to touch the pictures. I think it makes him feel safe. You're a good mother, Sarah said again. And she meant it. Jennifer's smile faded. I try to be, but I feel like I'm failing him. I can't afford the therapy he needs. I can't buy him all the equipment that would make his life easier. Sometimes I can't even afford his medicine. What kind of mother can't provide for her child? A mother who is doing everything she can with what she has, Sarah said firmly. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're working 2 jobs. You're taking care of Daniel by yourself. You're making sure he has food and a home and love. That's more than some kids get. Even kids who have 2 parents and money. Before Jennifer could respond, they heard footsteps. Both women looked up to see a man walking toward them. He was Asian, probably in his 40s, with gray hair at his temples. He wore jeans and a wrinkled shirt, like he had gotten dressed in a hurry. He carried a medical bag. Dr. Chen, Sarah said, standing up. Thank you so much for coming. Dr. Chen nodded. He looked at Jennifer and Daniel with kind eyes. I'm sorry you've been waiting so long, he said to Jennifer. That should never have happened. Let's take a look at your son and see how we can help him. Jennifer gently shook Daniel awake. The little boy opened his eyes slowly. He looked confused for a moment, then he saw his mother and smiled. It was a crooked smile, but full of love. Hi, baby, Jennifer said softly. There's a doctor here to help you feel better. Dr. Chen knelt down in front of the wheelchair so he was at Daniel's level. Hello, Daniel, he said. My name is Dr. Chen. I'm going to check you over, okay? I promise to be very gentle. Daniel looked at the doctor with big brown eyes. He made a sound that was not quite a word, but Sarah could tell he understood. They moved to an examination room. Sarah helped Jennifer push the wheelchair. Dr. Chen followed behind them. The hallway was dark and quiet. Their footsteps echoed in the empty space. In the examination room, Dr. Chen did a complete checkup. He listened to Daniel's heart and lungs. He checked his reflexes and his muscle tone. He asked Jennifer lots of questions about the seizures. When did they start? How long did they last? What did they look like? What happened before and after? Jennifer answered every question. Sarah could tell she had answered these questions many times before. She knew everything about her son's condition. She kept track of every symptom, every change, every small detail. The seizures are definitely getting worse, Dr. Chen said after the examination. The medicine he's on is not strong enough anymore. We need to increase the dose. How much will that cost? Jennifer asked. Her voice was tight with worry. Dr. Chen looked at her. The medicine is expensive, he admitted. About $200 a month. Jennifer's face went pale. I don't have $200, she whispered. I can barely afford the $50 for his current prescription. Dr. Chen was quiet for a moment. Then he said, wait here. He left the room. Jennifer looked at Sarah with panic in her eyes. What do I do? She asked. Daniel needs that medicine. But I can't afford it. Should I stop buying food? Should I skip paying rent? I don't know what to do. Sarah felt her anger come back. It was not right. It was not fair. A child needed medicine to stop seizures, and his mother had to choose between that and feeding him. What kind of system let this happen? Dr. Chen came back carrying a white bag. I have samples, he said. He put the bag on the examination table. This should be enough medicine for 3 months. By then we'll figure out a long-term solution. Maybe we can get you enrolled in a patient assistance program. Maybe we can find a cheaper alternative. But for now, this will keep Daniel safe. Jennifer stared at the bag like it was made of gold. You're giving this to us? She asked. For free? Yes, Dr. Chen said. No child should have to go without medicine because of money. Jennifer started crying again. Thank you, she said over and over. Thank you so much. Dr. Chen looked uncomfortable with her gratitude. It's nothing, he said. Just take care of your son. After Dr. Chen left, Sarah helped Jennifer pack up the medicine. Daniel had fallen asleep again in his wheelchair. The examination had tired him out. What time is it? Jennifer asked. Sarah looked at her watch. Almost 2 in the morning. Jennifer's face fell. I don't know how I'm going to get home, she said. I don't have money for a taxi. And even if I walk, it would take hours with the wheelchair. Sarah made another decision. I'll drive you home, she said. What? Jennifer looked shocked. No, I can't ask you to do that. You've already done so much, you're not asking, Sarah said. I'm offering, and I don't take no for an answer. But it's so late. You must be tired. You should go home and rest. I'll rest after I make sure you and Daniel get home safely, Sarah said. She started pushing the wheelchair toward the exit. Come on. My car's in the parking lot. Jennifer followed, still protesting weakly, but Sarah could tell she was grateful. She was just too proud to show it completely. They went outside into the cool night air. The parking lot was almost empty. Sarah's old blue car sat under a light pole. She opened the back door and helped Jennifer lift Daniel out of the wheelchair. He barely woke up as they moved him. They put him in the back seat and fastened the seatbelt around him carefully. Sarah folded up the wheelchair and put it in the trunk. Jennifer got in the front seat. As Sarah started the car, she looked over at Jennifer. Which way? She asked. Jennifer gave her the address. Sarah typed it into her phone's GPS. 30 minutes away, on the other side of town, the complete opposite direction from Sarah's home. Sarah did not care. She put the car in drive and headed out of the parking lot. As they drove through the dark streets, Jennifer stared out the window. I don't understand, she said quietly. Why are you doing this? You don't even know us. Sarah thought about the question. Why was she doing this? It would be easier to just drop them at a taxi stand. It would be easier to give Jennifer some money and let someone else take them home. It would be easier to stop caring, but Sarah did not want easier. She wanted to help. Really help. Not just for tonight, but for longer. She wanted to make a real difference in their lives because you need help, Sarah finally said. And I can help you. It's that simple. But it was not that simple. Sarah knew that. She was breaking all kinds of rules. Nurses were not supposed to get personally involved with patients. They were not supposed to drive them home. They were not supposed to become friends with them, but Sarah did not care about the rules anymore. Sometimes the right thing to do was more important than following the rules. The GPS on Sarah's phone showed 20 more minutes to Jennifer's apartment. The streets got darker as they drove further from the hospital. They passed through neighborhoods that Sarah had never seen before. Some areas looked okay. Others looked rough. Broken streetlights. Boarded-up buildings. Groups of people standing on corners even at this late hour. Jennifer seemed to shrink in her seat as they drove. Like she was embarrassed for Sarah to see where she lived. You don't have to do this, Jennifer said again. You can drop us at a main street. I can figure out the rest. I'm taking you all the way home, Sarah said. She kept her voice firm but kind. Stop trying to get rid of me. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Then she said, People like you don't usually come to neighborhoods like mine. What do you mean, people like me? Sarah asked. You know, people with good jobs. People who live in nice houses. People who are safe. Jennifer looked out the window. My neighborhood is not safe, especially at night. Sarah understood what Jennifer was not saying. She was warning Sarah. She was trying to protect her. Even though Jennifer was the one who needed protecting, she was still thinking about someone else. I'll be okay, Sarah said. I'm not worried. You should be, Jennifer said quietly. 2 weeks ago, there was a shooting on my street. A man died right in front of our building. Daniel heard the gunshots. He had a seizure right after. I think it scared him so bad that his body just shut down. Sarah felt her chest tighten. Daniel was living in a place where he heard gunshots, where he saw violence, where he was not safe. No child should have to live like that, especially not a child who was already dealing with so much. Have you thought about moving? Sarah asked. Jennifer laughed. It was a bitter sound. Move where? This apartment costs $400 a month. It's the cheapest place I could find that has an elevator for Daniel's wheelchair. Everywhere else is more expensive or has stairs. I'm stuck here. Sarah did not know what to say to that. She had never thought about things like elevators and wheelchair access. She had never had to worry about finding a cheap apartment that was also accessible for someone with disabilities. She was starting to realize how many problems Jennifer faced that Sarah had never even considered. Tell me about your jobs, Sarah said, changing the subject. What do you do? Jennifer sighed. I work at Save Mart grocery store from 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. I'm a cashier. I stand at the register and scan groceries. 8 hours of standing. My feet hurt all the time, but the pay is okay. $8 an hour. Sarah did the math in her head. $8 an hour for 8 hours was $64 a day. 5 days a week was $320. That was about $1,200 a month. That was not much money, especially for someone with a disabled child. And your other job? Sarah asked. I clean offices at night, Jennifer said. I start at 9 and work until 1 in the morning. 4 hours. $10 an hour. That's another $40 a day. $200 a week. About $800 a month. So Jennifer made about $2,000 a month total. Rent was $400. That left $1,600 for everything else. Food, electricity, water, medicine, Daniel's special needs, transportation. Sarah was starting to understand why Jennifer had to choose between medicine and food. There was just not enough money for everything. When do you sleep? Sarah asked. Between 2 and 5 in the afternoon, Jennifer said. 3 hours. Then I have to get up to get Daniel from school. The bus drops him off at 5:30. That's not enough sleep, Sarah said. I know, Jennifer said, but what choice do I have? I need both jobs to pay the bills. If I quit one, we'll be homeless. If I don't sleep, I can keep us alive. The GPS announced that they were 5 minutes from their destination. Sarah turned onto a street with old apartment buildings on both sides. The buildings were made of brick, but the brick was dirty and crumbling. Many windows had bars on them. Some windows were broken and covered with cardboard or plastic. It's the building on the right, Jennifer said. The one with the red door. Sarah pulled up in front of a 4-story apartment building. It looked like it had been built maybe 50 years ago. The red paint on the front door was peeling. One of the lights above the door was broken. Trash blew around in the small front yard. But Sarah noticed something else too. There were flower boxes in some of the windows. Someone had painted a mural of children playing on the side of the building. A cat sat on one of the front steps cleaning itself. People lived here. People were trying to make it a home. Sarah turned off the car and got out. Jennifer looked surprised. What are you doing? Jennifer asked. Helping you get Daniel upstairs, Sarah said. She opened the back door and carefully unbuckled Daniel. He woke up a little as she lifted him. Mama, he said. His voice was unclear, but Sarah understood. I'm here, baby, Jennifer said. She had gotten out and was pulling the wheelchair from the trunk. We're home now. Sarah carried Daniel while Jennifer pushed the empty wheelchair. They went through the red door and into a small hallway. The hallway smelled like cooking food and old carpet. The walls were painted a pale yellow, but the paint was old and dirty. There was an elevator at the end of the hall. Jennifer pressed the button and they waited. Sarah could hear the elevator creaking as it came down. When the doors opened, Sarah saw it was small and old. The 3 of them in the wheelchair barely fit inside. What floor? Sarah asked. 4th, Jennifer said. The top floor. The elevator shook as it went up. Sarah held Daniel closer, worried about what would happen if the elevator broke down. But it made it to the 4th floor and the doors opened with a loud ding. Jennifer's apartment was at the end of another hallway. The hallway was cleaner than the 1st floor. Someone had mopped recently. Sarah could smell the cleaning solution. Jennifer pulled out her keys and unlocked the door. It's not much, she said as she pushed the door open. But it's home. Sarah carried Daniel inside. The apartment was small. Very small. The front door opened into a living room that was also the kitchen. There was a small couch, a television on a stand, and a tiny kitchen table with 2 chairs. The kitchen was just a stove, a sink, and a small refrigerator against one wall, but the apartment was clean. Very clean. The floors were swept. The dishes in the sink were washed. The couch had a blanket folded neatly on one arm. Pictures that Daniel had drawn covered the refrigerator. A small vase with plastic flowers sat on the kitchen table. Jennifer had tried so hard to make this tiny apartment feel like a home. Sarah felt her heart squeeze again. "Daniel's room is through there," Jennifer said, pointing to a door. Sarah carried Daniel into the bedroom. It was barely big enough for the twin bed and small dresser, but Jennifer had painted the walls a soft blue. Glow-in-the-dark stars covered the ceiling. More of Daniel's drawings hung on the walls. A bookshelf next to the bed was full of children's books. Sarah laid Daniel on the bed gently. Jennifer came in and started taking off his shoes and jacket. Daniel was already falling back asleep. Sarah watched as Jennifer tucked the blanket around him and kissed his forehead. "Sweet dreams, baby," Jennifer whispered. They went back into the living room. Sarah looked around, noticing more details. The couch was old and had patches where the fabric was wearing through. The television was small and outdated, but everything was as neat and tidy as possible. Then Sarah noticed something that made her stomach hurt. She walked to the refrigerator and opened it. Inside was a half-gallon of milk, some eggs, a few slices of bread, and 1 apple. That was all. Jennifer saw her looking and closed the refrigerator quickly. "I get paid on Friday," she said. Her face was red. "I'll buy more food then, Jennifer," Sarah said gently. "This is not enough food. What have you and Daniel been eating?" "We manage," Jennifer said. She would not look at Sarah. "I make sure Daniel eats at school. They have a breakfast and lunch program, and I eat at work sometimes. SaveMart lets us eat food that's about to expire." Sarah pulled out her phone and opened an app. "What's your address?" she asked. "Why?" Jennifer looked confused. "Just tell me." Jennifer gave her the address. Sarah typed for a minute, then put her phone away. "What did you just do?" Jennifer asked. "I ordered groceries," Sarah said. "They'll be delivered tomorrow morning. Milk, eggs, bread, fruit, vegetables, meat, pasta, and some snacks for Daniel." "What? No." Jennifer looked upset. "I can't accept that. You've already done too much. You can't buy us food too." "It's done," Sarah said. "I already paid. You can't stop it now." "But I'll pay you back," Jennifer said. She was starting to cry again. "I promise I'll pay you back every penny." "I don't want your money," Sarah said firmly. "I want you and Daniel to eat. That's all." Jennifer covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook as she cried. Sarah stepped forward and hugged her. Jennifer held on to her like she was drowning and Sarah was a life raft. "I don't know how to thank you," Jennifer sobbed. "No one has ever been this kind to us." "You don't have to thank me," Sarah said. She rubbed Jennifer's back. "I'm just doing what anyone should do." But both of them knew that was not true. Most people would not have stayed late at the hospital. Most people would not have called a doctor in the middle of the night. Most people would not have driven someone home at 2 a.m. Most people would not have bought groceries for a stranger. Most people would have walked away. But Sarah had not walked away. And she was not going to walk away now. After Jennifer stopped crying, Sarah pulled a piece of paper and a pen from her purse. She wrote down her phone number. "This is my cell phone," Sarah said, handing the paper to Jennifer. "I want you to call me if you need anything. And I mean anything. If Daniel has a seizure. If you need help with his medicine. If you run out of food. If you just need someone to talk to. You call me, okay?" Jennifer looked at the phone number like it was something precious. "You really mean that?" she asked. "Yes," Sarah said. "I really mean it. You're not alone anymore. You have me now." Fresh tears ran down Jennifer's face, but she was smiling. "I don't know what I did to deserve this," she whispered. "You didn't have to do anything," Sarah said. "You just had to need help. And I had to be there to see it." Sarah looked at her watch. It was almost 3 a.m. She needed to get home and get some sleep. She had to work again in 6 hours. "I should go," she said. Jennifer walked her to the door. They stood there for a moment, looking at each other. "Will I see you again?" Jennifer asked. She sounded scared, like she was afraid this was all a dream and Sarah would disappear forever. "Yes," Sarah said. "I'll call you tomorrow to check on Daniel. And I'll probably come visit in a few days, if that's okay with you." "More than okay," Jennifer said. Please come anytime. Sarah walked to the elevator and pressed the button. As she waited, she turned and saw Jennifer still standing in the doorway watching her. Sarah waved. Jennifer waved back. The elevator doors opened and Sarah stepped inside. As the doors closed, she saw Jennifer wipe her eyes one more time before going back into her apartment. Sarah rode the elevator down to the first floor. She walked out of the building and got in her car. As she started driving home, she thought about everything that had happened tonight. She had met a woman and her son who needed help. Really needed help. And instead of walking away, Sarah had stepped in. She had broken rules. She had gone out of her way. She had spent her own money, and it felt good. It felt right. Sarah realized that this was not going to be just one night of helping. This was the beginning of something bigger. She was going to be part of Jennifer and Daniel's life now. She was going to help them in real, meaningful ways. She did not know exactly how yet, but she would figure it out, because some things were more important than rules and convenience and going home on time. Some things were worth fighting for, and Jennifer and Daniel were worth fighting for. Sarah got home at 4 a.m. Her husband Robert was already awake. He sat at the kitchen table in his bathrobe, drinking coffee and reading something on his tablet. He looked up when she walked in. "Where have you been?" he asked. He did not sound angry, just worried. "I tried calling you 3 times. Sarah sat down across from him. She was so tired that her whole body hurt, but she needed to tell someone about Jennifer and Daniel. She needed to talk about what had happened. She told Robert everything. About finding them in the waiting room. About calling Dr. Chen. About driving them home. About the empty refrigerator and the tiny apartment and how brave Jennifer was trying to take care of Daniel all by herself. Robert listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "You bought them groceries?" he finally asked. "Yes," Sarah said. She waited for him to be upset about spending their money, but Robert just nodded. "Good," he said. That was the right thing to do. Sarah felt relief wash over her. "You're not mad?" "Why would I be mad?" Robert reached across the table and took her hand. "Sarah, I've been married to you for 20 years. I know who you are. You're the woman who stops to help injured animals on the road. You're the woman who donates to every charity that asks. You're the woman who cares about everyone. If you had walked away from that mother and her son, you wouldn't be the woman I fell in love with." Sarah felt tears in her eyes. She was so tired, and Robert's words made her emotional. "I want to keep helping them," she said. "Not just tonight. Really helping them." "Then we'll help them," Robert said simply. "Tell me what you need from me." Sarah got only 2 hours of sleep before she had to get up for work. But she did not feel tired. She felt energized. She felt like she had found something important. Something that mattered. At the hospital, Sarah could not stop thinking about Jennifer and Daniel. During her lunch break, she called Jennifer to check on them. "Hello?" Jennifer answered. She sounded cautious, like she was not used to getting phone calls. "Hi, Jennifer. It's Sarah, from last night." "Sarah." Jennifer's voice changed completely. She sounded happy and relieved. "I was worried I dreamed the whole thing. But then the groceries came this morning and I knew it was real." "Did Daniel wake up okay?" Sarah asked. "Yes, he's good. A little tired, but no seizures today. And the new medicine is already here because Dr. Chen gave us those samples. I gave Daniel his first dose this morning." "That's great," Sarah said. "Listen, I was thinking, do you have a caseworker? Someone who helps you with resources and programs?" "I had one a year ago," Jennifer said. "But she left her job and they never assigned me a new one. I've called a few times, but no one ever calls me back." Sarah wrote that down on a piece of paper. "Okay, I'm going to make some calls. There are programs that can help you. Food assistance, medical assistance, maybe even help with rent. You shouldn't be doing this all alone." "I've tried," Jennifer said. Her voice got quiet. "I've called so many places. But there's always paperwork. Forms to fill out. Documents I don't have. Phone numbers that don't work. People who never call back. After a while, I just gave up." "You don't have to give up anymore," Sarah said. "I'll help you with the paperwork. I'll make the calls. We'll figure this out together." After hanging up, Sarah spent her lunch break on the phone. She called social services. She called disability assistance programs. She called children's health insurance programs. She wrote down names and phone numbers and requirements. It was complicated. Very complicated. Each program had different rules. different forms, different eligibility requirements. Sarah started to understand why Jennifer had given up. The system was not designed to help people. It was designed to make people jump through so many hoops that they gave up. But Sarah was not going to give up. Over the next 2 weeks, Sarah called Jennifer every day. Sometimes just to check on Daniel. Sometimes to tell her about a new program she had found. Sometimes just to talk and make sure Jennifer knew she was not alone. Sarah visited them 3 times during those 2 weeks. Each time she brought something. Food, small toys for Daniel, a warm jacket for Jennifer because winter was coming and her old coat had holes in it. Jennifer kept trying to refuse the gifts. She kept saying it was too much, but Sarah insisted. And slowly, Jennifer started to accept help without feeling so ashamed. On Sarah's 3rd visit, she brought her husband, Robert. She wanted him to meet Jennifer and Daniel. She wanted him to see why this was so important to her. Robert fell in love with them immediately. He got down on the floor to play with Daniel, showing him videos of funny animals on his phone. Daniel laughed and made happy sounds. It was the first time Sarah had heard Daniel really laugh, and the sound was beautiful. While Robert played with Daniel, Sarah and Jennifer sat at the small kitchen table. Sarah had brought all the paperwork she had collected. "Okay," Sarah said, spreading papers across the table. "I've found several programs you qualify for. First, there's the Food Assistance Program. You should be able to get about $300 a month for groceries." Jennifer's eyes went wide. $300? Are you sure? Yes. And there's also a program called WIC that provides formula and baby food, though Daniel might be too old for that now. But we can check. Sarah went through each program. Medical assistance that would help pay for Daniel's medicines and doctor visits. A disability support program that would provide some monthly income. A housing assistance program that could help reduce Jennifer's rent. "If we can get you into all these programs," Sarah said, "you might be able to quit one of your jobs. You could have more time with Daniel. More time to sleep. More time to just breathe." Jennifer stared at the papers. "This is real?" she whispered. "All of this exists? And I qualify for it?" "Yes," Sarah said. "It's real. And yes, you qualify. The system is just really hard to navigate. But I'm going to help you through every step." They spent the next hour filling out forms. Sarah explained each question. She helped Jennifer find the documents they needed. They made a list of things Jennifer still needed to get, like Daniel's birth certificate and medical records. Before Sarah and Robert left that day, Robert pulled Sarah aside. "She reminds me of my sister," he said quietly. Robert's sister had died 5 years ago from cancer. She had been a single mother too, and Robert had watched her struggle to take care of her kids while fighting the disease. "I know," Sarah said. She knew that was part of why Robert was supporting her so much and helping Jennifer. "We should do more," Robert said, "not just you, us, both of us." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked. "I mean, let's really help them. Let's make a real difference in their lives." The next Sunday, Sarah invited Jennifer and Daniel to come to her church. She picked them up in her car and drove them to the small church where she and Robert had been members for 15 years. Jennifer was nervous. She had not been to church in years. She was worried people would judge her, worried they would see her old clothes and broken-down wheelchair and look down on them. But the church welcomed them with open arms. People introduced themselves. They shook Jennifer's hand. They knelt down to talk to Daniel. They treated them like family. After the service, Sarah introduced Jennifer to Maria, who ran the church's outreach program. "We have a meal program on Wednesday nights," Maria said. "Free dinner for anyone who needs it. You should come, both of you. And we have a support group for single parents," another woman named Patricia added. "We meet Thursday mornings. Childcare is provided. There's also a clothing closet," Maria continued. "If you or Daniel need anything, just let me know. We have all sizes." Jennifer looked overwhelmed. "I don't know what to say," she said. "Everyone is being so kind." "That's what we do here," Maria said with a warm smile. "We take care of each other. You're part of our family now." Over the next month, Sarah watched Jennifer slowly come back to life. It was like watching a flower bloom. The constant worry in her eyes started to fade. She smiled more. She laughed sometimes. She stopped looking like someone who was barely surviving and started looking like someone who had hope. The programs Sarah had helped her apply for started coming through. Jennifer got approved for food assistance. She got approved for medical assistance that would cover Daniel's medicines. She got approved for a small monthly disability payment. It was not a lot of money, but it was enough that Jennifer could quit her night job cleaning offices. Now she only worked during the day at the grocery store. She could sleep at night. She could be home with Daniel in the evenings. She could read him stories before bed without falling asleep in the middle. Sarah visited them once a week. Sometimes she brought dinner. Sometimes she just came to sit and talk. She helped Jennifer understand Daniel's medical needs better. She explained what the doctors were saying in language Jennifer could understand. She went to appointments with them when Jennifer was nervous. The church community embraced them too. People from church started checking in on Jennifer. Maria called her once a week just to chat. Patricia invited her to the single parent support group, and Jennifer started going every Thursday. Other parents shared their struggles and their victories. Jennifer realized she was not alone. There were other people fighting the same battles. Someone from church who worked in construction came and fixed the broken elevator in Jennifer's building for free. Someone else who owned a car repair shop fixed Jennifer's car and only charged her for parts. The church youth group came and painted a mural on Daniel's bedroom wall of a beautiful forest with animals. Daniel started to thrive too. With his medicine working properly and his mother less stressed, his seizures decreased. He went from having several seizures a day to only 1 or 2 a week. He seemed happier, more alert, more engaged with the world. One evening, Sarah sat on Jennifer's couch while Daniel played with some toys on the floor. Jennifer was making tea in the kitchen. "I've been thinking," Jennifer said as she brought 2 cups to the living room, "about what I can do to pay all this back. To pay you back. To pay the church back. Everyone has done so much for us." "You don't have to pay anyone back," Sarah said. "That's not how this works." "But I want to do something," Jennifer said. She sat down next to Sarah. "I can't just take and never give anything." Sarah understood. Jennifer needed to feel like she was contributing, like she had value beyond just being someone who needed help. "Then pay it forward," Sarah said. "Someday, when you're in a better place, help someone else who needs it. That's how you pay this back." Jennifer nodded slowly. "I can do that," she said. "When I'm stronger, when things are better, I'll help someone else." "You're already stronger than you think," Sarah said. "Look at everything you've been through. Look at how you've kept going even when everything was hard. That takes real strength." Jennifer looked at Daniel playing on the floor. He was making happy sounds and waving a toy dinosaur in the air. "He's doing so much better," Jennifer said. Tears filled her eyes, but they were happy tears this time. "I can't remember the last time I saw him this happy. He's like a different child." "He's not a different child," Sarah said gently. "He's just a child who's finally getting what he needs. Medicine, stability, a mother who's not exhausted all the time. That's all. Because of you," Jennifer said. She turned to look at Sarah. "All of this is because of you. If you hadn't stayed late that night, if you hadn't stopped to help us, we'd still be barely surviving. Maybe not even surviving." Sarah felt uncomfortable with the praise. "It wasn't just me," she said. "It was Dr. Chen who came in the middle of the night. It was Robert who supported helping you. It was the church community that welcomed you. It was all of us." "But you started it," Jennifer said. "You were the first person to see us. Really see us. Not just as a problem or a case number, but as people who needed help." Sarah reached over and squeezed Jennifer's hand. "I'm glad I saw you," she said. "You and Daniel have changed my life too." "How?" Jennifer looked confused. "I told you I've been a nurse for 15 years, Sarah said. "But somewhere along the way I forgot why I became a nurse. I was going through the motions, just doing my job, not really connecting with people anymore. But meeting you reminded me. It reminded me that this job is about people, about caring, about making a difference in someone's life." "So we helped each other," Jennifer said with a small smile. "Yes," Sarah said. "We helped each other." They sat together in comfortable silence. watching Daniel play. The small apartment felt warm and safe. It still was not much. The furniture was still old. The building was still in a rough neighborhood. Money was still tight. But everything was different now, because Jennifer was not alone anymore. She had a friend. She had a support system. She had hope, and sometimes hope was the most powerful thing of all. 3 months had passed since that night in the hospital waiting room. Sarah could hardly believe how much had changed. She sat in her living room on a Saturday morning drinking coffee and making plans. Her doorbell rang. Sarah opened it to find Jennifer and Daniel. Jennifer looked different now. She had gained a little weight, which was good because she had been too thin before. Her eyes were brighter. She stood up straighter. She looked like a woman who was not carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders anymore. Daniel sat in his wheelchair with a big smile on his face. He wore a new jacket that someone from church had given him. His hair was neatly combed, and he looked healthy and happy. Come in, Sarah said, hugging Jennifer. She knelt down to Daniel's level. Hi, Daniel. How are you today? Daniel made a sound and reached out to touch Sarah's face. It was his way of saying hello. Sarah had learned to understand his different sounds and movements. Each one meant something. They had come to help Sarah with a new project. Sarah had been thinking about it for weeks. She wanted to start a support program at the hospital, a program that would connect healthcare workers with families who needed extra help. Families like Jennifer and Daniel who fell through the cracks. I talked to the hospital director, Sarah said as they sat in her living room. She loved the idea. She's giving me permission to start a pilot program. I can use a conference room at the hospital once a week to hold meetings. That's amazing, Jennifer said. What can I do to help? I want you to help me run it, Sarah said. You understand what these families are going through better than anyone. You know what kind of help they need. You know what does not work and what does. I need your experience. Jennifer looked shocked. Me? But I don't know anything about running a program. You know the most important thing, Sarah said. You know what it feels like to need help. That's more valuable than any training. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Okay, I'll do it. If you think I can help, I'll do it. They spent the morning planning. Robert joined them and helped with the details. They would call it the Family Bridge Program. It would connect struggling families with resources. But more than that, it would connect them with people who cared. Volunteers from the hospital and from the church would be matched with families who needed support. We can help with paperwork, Sarah said, making notes. That's one of the biggest problems. The forms are so complicated. We can have volunteers who just help people fill out forms and make phone calls. And we can have volunteers who provide rides to appointments, Robert added. Transportation is a huge barrier for a lot of families. What about meals, Jennifer said. When things were really bad, I was so tired I could barely cook. Sometimes we just ate cereal for dinner because I did not have energy for anything else. What if we had volunteers who could bring meals to families? Sarah wrote it all down. This was exactly what she needed. Jennifer understood the problems in a way Sarah never could. Together, they could build something really helpful. Over the next few weeks, they worked hard to get the program started. Sarah talked to other nurses at the hospital and found 10 who wanted to volunteer. Maria from the church recruited 15 more volunteers from the congregation. They had people who could drive, people who could cook, people who were good with paperwork, and people who just wanted to be friends to lonely families. Jennifer helped Sarah create a simple form that families could fill out to ask for help. It asked what kind of support they needed: medical help, food, transportation, someone to talk to, a break from caregiving, whatever they needed. The first meeting of the Family Bridge program was on a Tuesday evening. Sarah had reserved the conference room at the hospital. She bought coffee and cookies. She made handouts explaining how the program worked. She was so nervous that her hands were shaking. What if no one comes? She asked Robert as they set up chairs. They'll come, Robert said. You've been putting up flyers all over the hospital for 2 weeks. And Maria has been telling everyone at church. They'll come. At 6 o'clock, the first person walked in. It was a young woman with a baby, then an older man with a walker, then a couple with a teenage daughter in a wheelchair, then more people. By 6:15, 30 people had crowded into the conference room. They had to bring in more chairs. Sarah stood at the front of the room and introduced herself. Then she introduced Jennifer. Jennifer is a single mother who has been caring for her son Daniel for 8 years, Sarah said. She knows how hard it can be. She knows what you're going through. And she's here to help. Jennifer stood up. She looked nervous, but she smiled at the crowd. 3 months ago, I was sitting in the hospital waiting room at midnight with nowhere to go and no one to help, she said. Her voice was soft, but everyone was listening. I felt hopeless. I felt alone. I felt like I was drowning. But then Sarah helped me. And then other people helped me. And my life got better. Not perfect, but better. I'm here because I want to help others the way I was helped. People started sharing their stories. A woman whose husband had cancer and she could not work because she had to take care of him. A man whose mother had dementia and he did not know what to do. A young couple whose child had been born with a heart defect and they were buried under medical bills. A grandmother who was raising her grandchildren because their parents had died. Each story broke Sarah's heart. But each story also made her more determined. There were so many people who needed help, so many people who were fighting alone. The Family Bridge program could help them. By the end of the meeting, they had matched every family with at least one volunteer. Some families had 2 or 3 volunteers because their needs were complex. Everyone exchanged phone numbers. People were talking and laughing. The room felt warm and hopeful. After everyone left, Sarah, Robert, and Jennifer cleaned up the conference room. That went well, Robert said, throwing away empty coffee cups. Better than well, Sarah said. It was perfect. This is really going to work. Jennifer folded up chairs and stacked them against the wall. She had a thoughtful look on her face. What are you thinking? Sarah asked. I'm thinking that 3 months ago I was the one who needed help, Jennifer said, and now I'm the one helping others. It happened so fast. I never thought I'd be in this position. You're exactly the right person to be in this position, Sarah said. People trust you because you've been where they are. You're not just some volunteer who feels sorry for them. You're someone who understands. The Family Bridge program grew quickly. Word spread through the hospital and through the church and through the community. More families signed up for help. More volunteers joined the program. Every Tuesday evening they met in the conference room. They shared updates on families. They connected people with resources. They celebrated victories and supported each other through challenges. Sarah saw miracles happening. Small miracles, but miracles nonetheless. A family that had been about to lose their home got connected with housing assistance and saved their apartment. A child who had not been able to afford physical therapy got connected with a clinic that offered free services. An elderly woman who had been isolated and depressed got matched with a volunteer who visited her 3 times a week, and they became close friends. One Tuesday, Jennifer brought Daniel to the meeting. He had been doing so well that Jennifer wanted to show everyone. Daniel was using a new communication device that the hospital had helped them get. It was a tablet with pictures and words. When Daniel touched a picture, the device spoke the word out loud. I want to say thank you, Daniel's device said as he touched the pictures carefully. The whole room went silent watching him. You helped my mom. You helped me. I am happy now. There was not a dry eye in the room. People were crying and clapping. Sarah looked at Jennifer and saw tears streaming down her face, but they were happy tears. After the meeting, a woman named Karen approached Sarah and Jennifer. She was new to the program. Her daughter had autism and she was struggling to care for her while working full-time. I just wanted to say thank you, Karen said to Jennifer. Hearing your story gives me hope. If you could get through it, maybe I can too. You can, Jennifer said firmly. And you don't have to do it alone. That's the whole point of this program. None of us have to do it alone anymore. Sarah watched Jennifer talk to Karen. She watched Jennifer offer advice and encouragement. She watched Jennifer give Karen her phone number and tell her to call any time. And Sarah felt proud. So proud of how far Jennifer had come. The hospital director, Dr. Walsh, had been skeptical about the program at first. But she had come to observe one of the meetings. Afterward, she pulled Sarah aside. This is remarkable, Dr. Walsh said. I've never seen anything like it. The community you've built here is special. Thank you, Sarah said. But it's not just me. It's Jennifer and Robert and Maria and all the volunteers. It's everyone working together. I want to expand this program, Dr. Walsh said. I want to give you more resources. Maybe hire a part-time coordinator. Maybe get a bigger space. This needs to grow. Sarah could hardly believe it. The program was only 3 months old, and already the hospital wanted to expand it. That would be amazing, she said. Would Jennifer be interested in being the coordinator? Dr. Walsh asked. I'd pay her, of course. Not a lot, but something. She seems perfect for the role. Sarah felt excitement bubble up inside her. I'll ask her, she said. That evening, Sarah called Jennifer with the news. The hospital wants to hire you to coordinate the Family Bridge program, Sarah said. You'd work about 20 hours a week. You could keep your job at the grocery store if you want, or you could quit and just do this. Jennifer was silent for a long moment. They want to pay me? She finally said. To do this? Yes. To coordinate volunteers, to match families with resources, to run the weekly meetings. All the things you're already doing, but officially. I don't know what to say, Jennifer whispered. I never thought I'd have a job helping people. I never thought I'd be in a position where I could make a difference. You're already making a difference, Sarah said. This would just make it official. And it would give you a better income. You could finally quit the grocery store if you want. You could have a job where you don't have to stand on your feet for 8 hours. Yes, Jennifer said suddenly. Yes, I'll do it. I want to do it, Sarah smiled. Good. Because I already told Dr. Walsh you'd say yes. Jennifer laughed. It was a real laugh, full of joy and surprise. You're terrible, she said. But thank you. Thank you for believing in me. I'll always believe in you, Sarah said. 2 weeks later, Jennifer started her new job. She quit the grocery store and became the Family Bridge Program coordinator. She worked in a small office at the hospital. She had her own desk and computer. She had business cards with her name on them. On her first day, Sarah brought her flowers to celebrate. How does it feel? Sarah asked. Jennifer looked around her small office. It feels like a dream, she said. 6 months ago, I was barely surviving. I was exhausted all the time. I had no hope. I thought things would never get better. And now look at me. I have a job I love. Daniel is doing well. We have friends. We have a community. Everything is different. You did this, Sarah said. You worked hard. You accepted help when it was offered. You kept going even when things were hard. You should be proud of yourself. I couldn't have done it without you, Jennifer said. You changed my life, Sarah. You saved us. Sarah shook her head. We saved each other, she said. You reminded me why I became a nurse. You gave me purpose again. You gave me hope. We're in this together. They hugged, both of them crying happy tears. The Family Bridge program continued to grow. More families got help. More volunteers joined. More lives were changed. And at the center of it all were Sarah and Jennifer, 2 women who had met by chance and became family by choice. Together, they were building something beautiful, a community where people helped each other, where no one had to struggle alone, where hope was stronger than hardship. And it all started with one nurse who decided to stay late, and one mother who refused to give up. 6 months had passed since the Family Bridge program started. Sarah stood at the back of the hospital conference room and watched it overflow with people. They had to move the meetings to a bigger room because so many families and volunteers were coming now. Over 100 people filled the space tonight. Sarah smiled as she watched Jennifer at the front of the room leading the meeting. Jennifer was confident now. She spoke clearly and warmly. She knew everyone's names. She knew each family's story. She had become the heart of the program. Before we break into small groups tonight, Jennifer was saying, I want to share something special. We have a birthday to celebrate. Sarah's heart jumped. She had forgotten. Today was Daniel's birthday. He was turning 9 years old. Jennifer pushed Daniel's wheelchair to the front of the room. Daniel wore a party hat and had a big smile on his face. Someone had brought a cake with candles. Everyone sing with me, Jennifer said. The whole room sang happy birthday to Daniel. His face glowed with happiness. When they finished singing, Daniel used his communication device. Thank you, everyone, the device said. I love you all. People clapped and cheered. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. She remembered the small, scared boy who had been sleeping in the waiting room 6 months ago. That boy had been suffering, but this boy was thriving. He was surrounded by love. He had a community. He had hope. After the meeting, Sarah helped Jennifer clean up. They threw away paper plates and cups from Daniel's birthday cake. They put away chairs. They worked together in comfortable silence. "Can you believe it's been 6 months?" Jennifer asked, wiping down a table. "Sometimes it feels like yesterday," Sarah said. "Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago." "I was thinking about that night," Jennifer said quietly. "The night you found us in the waiting room. I had made a decision that night. I had decided that if Daniel didn't see the doctor, if we had to leave with no help, I was going to give up. I was going to call child services and tell them I couldn't take care of Daniel anymore. I was going to let them take him away because I thought he'd be better off without me." Sarah stopped cleaning. She stared at Jennifer. "You never told me that. I was too ashamed," Jennifer said. Tears ran down her face. "I was his mother. I was supposed to protect him, but I felt like I was failing him every day. I thought he deserved better than me, better than what I could give him." Sarah walked over and hugged Jennifer tight. "I'm so glad I found you that night," she whispered. "I'm so glad you didn't give up." "Me too," Jennifer said. "Every single day I'm grateful that you saw us, that you cared enough to help. You saved Daniel's life, and you saved mine too." They stood there holding each other, both crying. Daniel sat in his wheelchair nearby, playing with a toy someone had given him for his birthday. He made happy sounds, completely unaware of the emotional conversation happening between the two most important women in his life. A few weeks later, Sarah got a phone call from Dr. Walsh, the hospital director. "Can you come to my office?" Dr. Walsh asked. "I have something I want to discuss with you." Sarah went to Dr. Walsh's office, curious and a little nervous. Dr. Walsh sat behind her big desk, smiling. "Sit down," Dr. Walsh said. "I have good news. The hospital board has been following the Family Bridge program closely. They're very impressed with what you've accomplished. They want to make it a permanent program, and they want to create a new position, Director of Community Outreach. They want to offer that position to you." Sarah felt her mouth fall open. "What?" "It would mean leaving your position as a floor nurse," Dr. Walsh said. "But you'd oversee the Family Bridge program and other community initiatives. You'd have a budget. You'd have staff. You could expand the program even more. What do you think?" Sarah thought about it. She loved being a nurse. She loved working with patients. But the Family Bridge program had become her passion. It was what got her out of bed in the morning. It was what made her feel like she was truly making a difference. "Yes," Sarah said. "I'll do it." "Excellent," Dr. Walsh said, smiling. "You start next month." "Congratulations, Sarah, you've earned this." Sarah could not wait to tell Jennifer. She drove straight to Jennifer's apartment from the hospital. When she knocked on the door, Jennifer opened it, looking surprised. "Sarah, what's wrong? You look like something happened." "Something did happen," Sarah said, grinning. "Can I come in?" They sat on Jennifer's couch, the same couch where Sarah had sat 6 months ago and seen the empty refrigerator. Now the refrigerator was full. The apartment was still small, but it felt different. It felt like a real home. Pictures covered the walls. Books filled a new bookshelf. Toys were scattered on the floor. It was messy and lived in and full of life. Sarah told Jennifer about the job offer. Jennifer jumped up and hugged her. "That's amazing," Jennifer said. "You deserve it so much. You're going to do incredible things in that position." "We're going to do incredible things," Sarah corrected. "You and me together. We're a team." Over the next few months, the Family Bridge program continued to grow. Sarah hired 2 more part-time coordinators to help Jennifer. They started offering classes for parents on how to navigate the medical system, how to apply for assistance programs, and how to advocate for their children. They started a support group specifically for single parents. They started a clothing exchange where families could get free clothes for their kids. One Tuesday evening, a new family came to the meeting. It was a young mother with a baby who had Down syndrome. The mother looked exhausted and scared. She sat in the corner by herself, looking like she wanted to run away. Sarah watched as Jennifer approached the young mother. Jennifer sat down next to her and started talking quietly. The mother started crying and Jennifer held her hand. They talked for a long time while the meeting went on around them. After the meeting, the young mother came up to Sarah. "Thank you for this program," she said. Jennifer told me her story. She told me how you helped her. She said you saved her life. And now I feel like maybe there's hope for me too. Maybe I can do this. "You can do this," Sarah said. "And you don't have to do it alone. That's what we're here for. Sarah looked over at Jennifer, who was talking to another family. Jennifer caught her eye and smiled. In that moment, Sarah felt something powerful. She felt like everything had come full circle. Jennifer had been the one who needed help. Now she was the one giving help. And the cycle would continue. The families they helped today would help others tomorrow. That night, after everyone left, Sarah and Jennifer sat in the empty conference room, exhausted but happy. "Do you remember what you said to me 6 months ago?" Sarah asked. "You asked me why I was helping you. You said you didn't understand why I cared." "I remember," Jennifer said. "I was so confused. No one had ever helped me like that before. Do you understand now?" Sarah asked. Jennifer thought about it. "I think so," she said slowly. "You helped me because you saw me as a person, not as a problem or a case or a burden, just as a person who needed help. And you believed that I deserved help, that Daniel deserved help." "Exactly," Sarah said. "Everyone deserves help. Everyone deserves compassion. Everyone deserves to know they're not alone. And now we're helping other people see that," Jennifer said. "We're showing other families that they matter, that they're worth fighting for." "Yes," Sarah said. "That's exactly what we're doing." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Jennifer said, "I need to tell you something." "What?" Sarah asked. "Daniel has been accepted into a special program at the Children's Hospital," Jennifer said. Her voice was thick with emotion. "It's a comprehensive program for kids with cerebral palsy. They'll provide all his therapy, all his medical care, all his equipment, everything. And it's free because we qualify for the assistance program you helped me sign up for." Sarah felt tears in her eyes. "Jennifer, that's wonderful." "They said he could make real progress in this program," Jennifer said. She was crying now. "They said with the right therapy, he might be able to use a walker someday instead of the wheelchair all the time. He might be able to feed himself. He might be able to do so many things we never thought were possible." "That's incredible," Sarah said, hugging Jennifer. "I'm so happy for you. For both of you." "None of this would be possible without you," Jennifer said. "You changed our whole lives. You gave us a future. You gave me a purpose," Sarah said. "You reminded me why I do this work. You reminded me what really matters." 2 weeks later, the hospital held a ceremony to recognize the Family Bridge program. The local news came to film it. The mayor came and gave a speech. Families who had been helped by the program shared their stories. Volunteers were honored for their service. At the end of the ceremony, Dr. Walsh called Sarah and Jennifer to the front of the room. "These two women started with a simple idea," Dr. Walsh said. "Help people who need help. Don't let anyone fall through the cracks. Build a community of compassion." And look what they've created. In just 6 months, the Family Bridge program has helped over 50 families. It has connected hundreds of volunteers with people who need support. It has changed lives. And it all started because one nurse decided to stay late one night and help a mother and her child who had nowhere else to turn. Everyone stood and clapped. Sarah and Jennifer hugged each other, both crying happy tears. Daniel sat in his wheelchair in the front row, clapping his hands together and making happy sounds. After the ceremony, people crowded around Sarah and Jennifer, thanking them and congratulating them. But Sarah kept looking at Daniel. He was the reason for all of this. He was the one who had started it all just by being there that night in the waiting room. When the crowd finally cleared, Sarah knelt down in front of Daniel's wheelchair. "You're my hero," she said to him. "Did you know that?" Daniel touched her face with his small hand. He made a sound that Sarah had learned meant, "I love you." "I love you too," Sarah said. That evening, Sarah and Robert sat in their kitchen drinking tea and talking about the day. "Are you happy?" Robert asked. Sarah thought about the question. 6 months ago, she had been going through the motions of her job, feeling burned out and disconnected. Now she woke up every day excited about her work. She had purpose. She had meaning. She was making a real difference in people's lives. "Yes," she said. "I'm very happy." "I'm proud of you," Robert said, taking her hand. "You saw someone who needed help and you didn't look away. Most people would have walked past them. But you stopped. You cared. And look at all the good that came from that one decision." "It was the easiest decision I've ever made," Sarah said. "I just followed my heart." "The world needs more people like you," Robert said. Sarah shook her head. "The world needs more people who are willing to help each other. That's all. Just people seeing each other, really seeing each other, and caring enough to do something. The next Tuesday at the Family Bridge Program meeting, Sarah stood at the front of the room and looked at all the faces. Families who had found help, volunteers who had found purpose, people who had found community. And at the center of it all, Jennifer and Daniel. "I want to tell you all a story," Sarah said. 6 months ago, I was finishing a long shift at the hospital. I was tired. I wanted to go home. But I noticed the waiting room lights were still on. I could have ignored it. I could have walked out and gone home. But something told me to check. And when I did, I found Jennifer and Daniel. They had been waiting for hours with no help and no hope. I could have told them the doctor was gone and sent them away. But I didn't. I decided to help. And that one small decision changed everything. It changed their lives. It changed my life. And now it's changing all of your lives. She paused and looked around the room. We all have the power to do that. Every single day we have opportunities to help someone, to see someone who's struggling and offer a hand, to be the person who doesn't walk away. It doesn't take money or special skills or a lot of time. It just takes compassion. It just takes caring. And when we all do that, when we all help each other, incredible things happen. The room was silent. People were listening, really listening. So I want to challenge each of you, Sarah continued. Don't just be someone who receives help or gives help. Be someone who sees others, really sees them. Look for the person sitting alone in the waiting room. Look for the neighbor who's struggling. Look for the stranger who needs a kind word, and then do something. Anything. Because you never know how one small act of kindness might change someone's entire life. Everyone clapped, and Sarah knew the message had landed. The Family Bridge program was not just about connecting people with resources. It was about creating a culture of compassion. A culture where people looked out for each other. Where no one had to face their struggles alone. After the meeting, as Sarah was leaving, a young woman stopped her. "Excuse me," the woman said. "I just wanted to say thank you. My mother is sick and I've been taking care of her. I felt so alone. But coming here, meeting all these people, knowing I'm not the only one going through this, it means everything." "You're not alone," Sarah said, hugging the woman. "You're part of our family now." As Sarah drove home that night, she thought about the past 6 months. She thought about how one night had changed everything. How one decision to help had rippled out and touched so many lives. She thought about Jennifer, who had gone from a woman with no hope to a woman who gave hope to others. She thought about Daniel, who was getting better every day. She thought about all the families they had helped and all the families they would help in the future. And Sarah felt grateful. Grateful that she had stayed late that night. Grateful that she had followed her heart. Grateful for the reminder that nursing was about more than just medicine. It was about seeing people, really seeing them, and caring enough to help. When she got home, Robert was waiting for her. "How was the meeting?" he asked. "Perfect," Sarah said, kissing him. It was perfect. That night, as Sarah lay in bed, she thought about what she would say if she could go back and talk to herself 6 months ago. To that tired nurse who almost walked past the waiting room without checking, she would say, "Stop, look, see the people who need help." And then help them. Because that one small act of compassion might save a life. It might give someone hope. It might start something beautiful. She would say, "Don't be afraid to get involved. Don't worry about the rules or the inconvenience. Just follow your heart," she would say. "You won't regret it. In fact, it will be the best decision you ever make." Sarah smiled in the darkness. She had found her purpose. She had found her calling. And it all started with one mother, one child, and one nurse who decided that helping people was more important than anything else. The story could have ended so differently. Jennifer could have given up. Daniel could have suffered. Sarah could have walked away. But none of those things happened. Instead, 3 people found each other at exactly the right moment. And together they created something that would help hundreds of people for years to come. That was the power of compassion. That was the power of seeing people and caring about them. That was the power of one person deciding to help. And the ripples would continue spreading. The families they helped would help others. The volunteers who learned to serve would teach others to serve. The community they built would grow stronger and reach further, all because one nurse stayed late and noticed a single mother and her disabled child in the waiting room, because Sarah decided to intervene. And that made all the difference.